I really think that I'm making clothes for people who look like me, who have my skin tone, and are queer or immigrants. I feel like all of my identities, those are the people that I'm making clothing for.
It's time to see Jacques Agbobly. He's an up-and-coming force to be reckoned with in the fashion industry. He's a designer marrying the traditional African garments he grew up with in Togo and the Black American aesthetics he was surrounded by after immigrating to Chicago as a child. I'm Jazz Jennings, LGBTQ+ advocate and a proud member of the trans community, and this is Scene.
As an immigrant, I have always felt sort of a dual nature of my identity. I was born and raised in Togo, but grew up, living on the north side of Chicago, and I've always felt this sort of push and tug between both of my identities. Sometimes I felt like, I had to represent, my Africanness. I had to prove my Africanness, or sometimes I had to prove that, my Americanness. And for me, as a designer, I felt like there's no separation between the two. Those are two parts of my identity that exist together, not separately. So a lot of themes that I grew up around relating to incarceration, masculinity, all of those things sort of all come together to make up who I am today. I would say that my aesthetic is continuously evolving. For me, everything that I do has to involve color. It's what I was raised around, is where I grew up. Color is something that's like engraved in me, and I've always been very fascinated by the color orange. And growing up, I was so obsessed with it, and I couldn't realize why I was so fascinated by this. A lot of what I would wear was orange, and throughout time and throughout my career, I started realizing that as a Black person, I never really got to see that color being represented on my skin tone in a very positive light. Growing up in Chicago and seeing a lot of people that are close to me, being incarcerated and having to wear, orange jumpsuits, the color orange on Black bodies, it wasn't a very positive thing. That's why I started this series of making things in orange, whether if I'm wearing it, it's on my accessory, or if I'm making something in orange. In the beginning of my career, I was very interested in the great fashion designers, Chanel, Alexander McQueen, all those big names. And over time, I started to really pay attention to people that were in my community that were doing something that I could relate to more as an African person. There's sort of this collective understanding in my communities that, for whatever reasons that are beyond us, we're always going to have obstacles against us, but it's about how you decide that you're gonna let those obstacles affect you. Even though I've struggled so much, I realize that, I am here because of all my brothers and sisters who have really, helped me. When I was struggling in school, it was, the Black students, the Black designers, the Black kids who were always, willing to stay there with me until I got my work done, or willing to actually offer a helping hand when I had, bead, do everything there. So, it's just sort of this collective understanding that we're all coming from some form and some level of struggle, but we have to be there for one another and hold each other down through these struggles so that we all can come out on top. I would like to see more Black creatives being the decision makers, not only, in the corporate offices, but, in the high fashion areas. For a really, really long time, Black folks, Black creatives, BIPOC creatives have been in the back front. When we start to make decisions that influence culture, that's when we can really solidify our impact and, our place in culture as well. I really like to see more funding for Black talent, especially Black young talent, because we're there and everything starts with education. So if you're not really funding Black talent while they're in school, they're not really gonna get a footing in the industry. I would never in a million years have imagined myself being in this space, being where I am today. It was my mom who really sort of let me explore all the different facets that I could possibly do. She was like, I got you to America, so it's your job to make something of yourself. As a Black person, I just want to be able to just create work and let my work speak for itself, because there's so few of us with a platform right now. it's the job and sort of the duty for like, you know, the few that are getting a platform. It's important for me to continue to be present in these spaces, but also talking up and bringing the people that, you know, may not have that platform, you know, on with me. So at first it was a very sort of scary thing to do, but, you know, realizing that there are people out there who like, you know, look up to you, you know, are really supporting you, that's something that's important. It's a role and sort of something that I like take on very, very seriously, and hope that like I'm able to make my communities proud.
Thanks so much for watching this episode of Scene. If you'd like to follow Jacques or see more of his work, you can find him on Instagram at Illinois. That's all for this episode. See y'all next time.